Yeah, we are here on this Sunday afternoon on the ANF First Alert Desk, and we are just making sure that our microphones are good, and it looks like we are good to go. So we are going to jump right into this. Good Sunday afternoon, everyone. So happy to have you here with us on the ANF First Alert Desk. A lot of things are cooking in our newsroom this afternoon. I'm just going to turn down my IFB really quick so I'm not shouting in my own ear. But yeah, we have a lot of stuff to get to that we want to tell you about. Our reporters are already out in the field getting things going, and we have some updates on some cases that we have been following. And I'm just going to bring this a little bit closer so that you can hear us. All right. So one of the things that popped out to me as soon as I got to my desk, I started going through the day, starting to see what carried over from the morning, any new things that came into our newsroom. And one of the top stories that I covered 2 years ago was this awful homicide that took place at a small racetrack gas station in Athens, Clark County, and the clerk was shot and killed. His name was Elijah Woods, and I was sent out there. We had a reporter out there in the morning. There was crime scene tape wrapped all around the gas station at that time, and we quickly started doing some database searches, trying to track down any family members for Elijah to try to get them to be able to weigh in and share some kind words about their son, and of course, just wanted to hear from them. So that was a blazing crime for sure, just to go in and take the life of a gas station clerk. It definitely shook the community at the time, and I did manage to track down the story that was a relief to the community. It did happen a year later after the investigation. They made an arrest. So I do want to show that to you guys just so that you can see how we got to this moment, just to bring it back up, because this does mark 2 years and it shows the efforts of law enforcement officials to really bring justice for this family.
As far as the emotional side of this, people drive past that store every day.
It's a crime that's haunted an Oconee County community for nearly a year, including the sheriff himself.
And so, excuse me.
23-year-old Elijah Wood was shot to death while working an overnight shift at the racetrack on Macon Highway near Watkinsville. Investigators believe it started as a robbery attempt. Now, the day so many have been waiting for, Sheriff James Hale announcing an arrest.
The case was really broken by the ATF's NIBIN system.
He credits ballistic technology that matched shell casings from their case with a shooting in Pennsylvania. Crumpton is a former UGA wide receiver who was not on investigators' radar until last month.
We were ecstatic. Our phones were text messaging. I think we probably texted back and forth for 6 hours. Just say, can this really be true? Is there anything else that we can do to make sure this is right?
But the sheriff says this case is far from over. Still, as people drive by this memorial outside of the racetrack, they can do so knowing there are finally some answers.
There's nothing we can do to bring Elijah back. And we hope that the family can get a little bit of solace in the understanding that we have worked ourselves to death to make this case come to an end.
Crumpton is in jail in Philadelphia awaiting extradition to Georgia. In Oconee County, Megan Packer, CBS 46 News.
So that's how we got to the moment here 2 years later. His family were the individuals who updated us today, letting us know that the suspect is still awaiting trial, and they are going to still try to get justice for Elijah. The suspect is still awaiting his day in court, and that's going to be something that we are keeping very close tabs on, and we'll make sure that we share that development with you as soon as we get it into our newsroom. Now I want to shift gears. We briefly talked about this yesterday on the ANF First Alert Desk, something that we were working on. It was a follow-up to a story that we covered a year ago. It was in Buckhead when a mom and her son, Nigel Cullens, were at the Foco de Chao, and the mom claims that her son was experiencing a mental health crisis in the moment and he wasn't acting himself. She says that she called police, but when police got there, he had already shot the security guard at the restaurant. Police then shot and killed her 22-year-old son, Nigel Cullens, and I mentioned at the time, before I even showed the story, the follow-up that I did a year ago, or last year, when his mom and the NAACP had a press conference, I let you hear from the mom and some of her emotional pleas, and one of the frustrations that I mentioned before we even played that many times in these types of cases, officer-involved shootings, and it's very hard for family members to get answers, to get access to video surveillance, get access to documents that they want, and that was the main frustration they had expressed last year. Here we are today. The family is demanding to meet with officials, and they are demanding that the video be made public that they viewed. They claim that this video was very graphic in nature, and I want to show you what our reporter was able to gather last night.
Nigel Cullen's family and the Georgia NAACP say they've had a chance to watch some of the body cam footage from that night, and they say that it shows a disturbing image of what happened.
We have grave concerns about what we see in this video.
Nearly a year after Nigel Cullens was shot and killed by Atlanta police, his family and the Georgia NAACP say they're finally seeing some of the footage from that night.
Nigel was shot over 10 times. A police officer fired at least 3 to 5 shots initially into Nigel, then paused and fired again.
Now they're demanding to meet with officials, including the Fulton County District Attorney,
What do we want?
and want all of the body cam footage released to the public.
We should not have to sit 10 months from the date of my son's passing to beg to be able to see body cam footage. To beg and ask, can we see the GBI report?
Dozens gathered outside of Fogo de Chao, the Buckhead restaurant where Cullens was killed last May, calling for justice. The 22-year-old was killed when police responded to reports of an unruly customer with a gun. Cullens' mom, Maya, told Atlanta News First last year she called 911 that same day pleading for EMS to respond because her son was having a mental health crisis. She says his death could have been prevented.
We ask for the district attorney to move swiftly in this case. Investigate it and do what is necessary and do right by the system. Give us the fair chance to make sure that Nigel's life wasn't in vain.
And the family says they would also like to meet with Georgia Governor Brian Kemp to talk about the shooting. The case is still under investigation. In Atlanta, Yasmina Alston, Atlanta News First.
So that's what we were able to gather. We were able to hear from a lot of people yesterday, and we will see if this family is able to get the meeting that they want with investigators and some more answers that they are looking to get. So we'll keep you updated on that. Lastly, we want to talk about this other story that we've been working on today. This is a story from last September, and that was when a woman named Brittany Glover was leaving an event, and she was struck and killed by a driver on Donald E. Hollowell Drive, and the driver took off and never came back. This has been extremely difficult for the family, and today that driver still has not turned himself in, him or her, whoever that person may have been, still has not turned themselves in to investigators, and today her family is rallying and holding a memorial because it's now been several months since this took place, and they're hoping to get this back in the public eye. And they are having community leaders out there to help advocate for safer streets in that area. So this is something that we are going to be attending later today, and we're going to let you hear from her family members who will likely be out there, and we'll make sure we share that with you. But those are our main stories that we're working on today that we will have in our newscast tonight. I just wanted to share it with you. So that's the very latest here on the Atlanta News First Desk, and make sure that you tune in tonight at 9, 10, and 11 for more details on all of that. All right, have a great day.